Okay, thank you. Now, this is the, I am calling to order the Bethel Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. The time now is, we're late start, 8:23 p.m. So again, I would like to ask you to rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First order of business, consideration of the accepting the regular minutes of the regular meeting of July 5th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any corrections? Comments? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Were you there? You voted aye?
I was
Yeah, okay,
last meeting?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
when we were talking about the SROs. So,
that's right. All right, that motion carries. Item number 3, consideration of refunds for overpayment of taxes. So I'll put the motion on the floor based on the request from our tax collector, Paula Usher, that we authorize tax refunds in the amount of $11,386.84. Okay, the motion by Rich, second by Brian. Any questions for Paula? Hearing none. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Item number 4, consideration of abatement of taxes for Bethel Housing Authority and Augustana Homes for the grand list of October 1st, 2021 in the amount of $237,300, $237,362.48. And there is a memo from Paula that outlines the properties. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Rich. Any comments, Paula?
I do have a quick comment. Augustana Homes is looking to transfer to another nonprofit housing authority to a new owner, which is a nonprofit. They are asking, just to give you a heads up, because the new owner has to, I guess, apply to the state of Connecticut. They are asking to try and just keep in the back of their head to see if we can continue what we do for the diocese. With the abatement. If you abate these taxes, when the sale takes over, the agreement, the co-op agreement is null and void. So I would have to put back half the taxes for the year if they're looking to take over in December.
The new owners looking at, but that doesn't affect this tax abatement.
No, it does not.
But they would have to
But I just wanted
reapply.
to give you a, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to give you guys a heads up
Okay.
down the road.
Yeah, we should have a discussion about that, about next steps too.
Yeah.
Because I know that some of those are switching to market rate, correct?
Yes.
As they renovate. Okay. All right, be an interesting discussion. Okay, so we have any other questions for Paula?
Just the Augustana is the congregate in the back.
Yes, on Durant Street.
And what did you say, Matt? They're gonna raise the rent on those?
Yeah, it's,
They're gonna be
if you remember, it must be 6 or 7 years ago, the housing authority, in conjunction with the Board of Selectmen, made an offer for Augustana Homes.
The ones in front.
I think it
Yeah.
was when the Archdiocese was selling the homes.
Right.
And we did not win that bid. I think it went to RMS Development, and their plan was, as people left those apartments, they would be converted to market rate. So actually, the amount of senior housing is dwindling in that facility. So with another new owner, I guess we would have to speak with them and find out what their
I'll show
intentions
you a
are.
copy of the letter that they wrote.
well, if they're charging market rate, do we probate tax abatement in terms of, if you have 40 units and
Yeah.
10 of them are market rate, they shouldn't get a full tax.
Right, that's what they do. It's a.
So you already took care of that.
I haven't answered her. I told her I would bring it up at the meeting to let you guys know that this is gonna happen come December, but they don't even know, they don't even know if the state is gonna approve it.
But are any of the units market rate that we're abating, or are they all
That I
not?
don't,
Well, no, they're not.
No.
It was a plan that was announced, but I don't think they've actually done it.
Yeah, the Augustana that's here, I believe, is only the congregate in the back.
Right, the other
Yes.
went away.
Yes.
Gone.
Yeah.
And we used to do them too.
Right.
Yeah, since they got taken. away
That's
by
why I
the-
just wanted to clarify is the congregate, what they call the congregate in the
Yes.
back.
correct.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It carries. Thank you, Paula.
you.
Item number 5, consideration of a RFQ process for evaluation of fire department, fire apparatus and building needs. What the fire commission has asked is for funding, and we're not actually being asked for any funding at this point. What we're being asked to approve is to have our finance department put out a request for qualifications to find consultancies that are proficient in evaluating fire apparatus needs and fire department building needs. So at this point, the only cost would be running an ad in paper for the RFQ, but this is just getting our approval to move forward with the RFQ process. And look to attract consultants that can do this work.
Isn't it the whole plan of fire commission though, that we got experts who are gonna do this work?
Well, we have people who can evaluate it, but it's sort of like the study that we had done about fire apparatus funding about 10 years ago, where we had a consultancy look at the inventory that we had and project out the needs for replacing those things. But what we want to have, what the fire commission wants to have done is a consultant look at the apparatuses that we have in inventory, look at our plan of conservation and development, look at the type of construction that is underway now and what's happening in the future, and make longer term recommendations on what the needs are. And this is actually in conjunction with the request from Board of Finance for such a longer term capital study.
What's the cost on something like that?
No, the RFQ is just to,
See how much it would cost.
well, just to see who's qualified to do it. So, yeah, there's no cost in that at this point.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion I'll put a motion on the floor that we authorize the finance department to develop an request for qualifications for apparatus and fire buildings. All right, so is there a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Now we also have a request from the Fire Commission to fund an amount not to exceed $35,000 for Hearst rescue tools. I'll put a motion on the floor that we fund this request in the amount not to exceed $35,000. And this would be for both Stony Hill and Bethel Volunteer Fire.
Second.
Okay, so we have a second. So what they're doing is replacing the older Hearst pneumatic and hydraulic driven tools that require a hydraulic pump to be on board the fire apparatus, and then has a limited range. So when they're working with, say, a car that's gone off deep into the woods or someplace where they can't get an apparatus close to it, it makes extraction difficult if there are victims trapped in the car. Both departments are converting their older pneumatic equipment, which is due for replacement anyway, with battery operated tools. And this gives them more mobility and more speed in addressing rescue operation.
Is this gonna come from capital non-recurring?
Yes, yeah, I should put that in the
Is this one Hearst tool or is it Hearst tools?
Hearst
Tools.
tools, and they're,
Okay.
and
Plural.
There's one tool and what they call 2 rams.
Okay,
But each
so the motion is
department's
to approve an amount not to exceed 35,000 for
Right.
Hearst tools.
Bethel is getting the tool and one ram and the other ram goes to Stony Hill, so they have the same equipment on each one of their trucks. They're trying to standardize each department, have the same equipment.
So the motion was amended and to say that it's the company.
Capital non-recurring, correct.
Wait, so, okay, motion,
I'm just adding to my motion that the funds should be
Okay.
drawn from capital non-recurring budget. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That carries. Item number 7, consideration of the 2022 controlled deer hunt. And that would be beginning January 1st, 2023, archery only at Terre Haute and Chestnut Ridge. I'll entertain a motion to, you have a letter from Frank Germanaro, who's the coordinator for Bethel Fish and Game, who coordinates and maintains all the records on the deer hunt. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Did you have? Oh, second.
Or I made a motion to approve. So we have a motion for it. Questions?
In lieu of providing insurance, we require each person to execute the release of the indemnity. Is that okay, Marty?
We did it, I'm pretty sure we did it last year. What I was gonna ask the board is to ask him to forward a copy of it for me to look at and have our insurance company take a look at as well. They have before and they've signed off on it.
Okay.
So
I'd
just,
like to see it.
just so we know though, they do get permission to use firearms. I mean, it even says it over here
Yeah.
that they're firearms and they do an archery application. I know in Chestnut they use firearms because I hear them going off all the time. It's right around my house. It's not the bird.
can I only,
This is
put-
limited for archery only though.
And,
If you look at his letter, you got his letter right there, Vernon?
Yeah.
Read the first thing. It says, Dear Mr. McBire, the attached proposal for the 2022 Bethel controlled deer hunt, and he's got January 23 archery only. It's being submitted for,
Oh, okay.
he's using these forms for other stuff too,
Oh.
I think. That's what it's-
All right.
and is this for the Terre Haute property or is this also at the reservoir property?
I think it's on both.
Yeah, it
Right,
says.
well, I think they should clarify it too.
If you look on the next page, there's special instruction or regulation.
Terre Haute-
Oh, it says-
Terre
It
Haute
does
is
say
a-
firearms, you're right.
It does say, I know they use, am I right, Lisa? They use firearms in there.
we usually have the permits done up, it says January 2023, and then it would also say the
Firearms,
shotgun
yeah.
rifle,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
And then we have them sign that in,
Yeah.
indemnification.
I know for a fact that this is for shotguns and muzzleloader too, at least in
I don't-
Chestnut.
Well, there was discussion about using the other property at Terre Haute and the question came up. Were they using guns at the Terre Haute property?
I said they were, because I know.
Yeah.
I know they were. In the past, they were using shotguns at Terre Haute.
Is this something that needs to be done today? I'd like to table.
Well, I was gonna add, yeah, we could table this. We've got plenty of time on this. I have actually wonder if this was last year's form, because you look at the top of it, the second page, it says 2022. And I wonder if they just didn't correct the verbiage, but I'll tell you what,
No, this is for 2022, because, I mean,
I know. but this-
archery starts in September, and then they're asking you to report by January 31st, 2023, because there's a January archery season. So that's why they do it this way, but this is correct. I just know for a fact that shotguns have been allowed in the past. I know it. So that was the whole reason why I said with the bike riders, maybe they can't bike when
Sure.
shotgun season's going on. Probably not a good idea to let people biking back there.
Like they say, it wouldn't be proven.
I gotta tell you, I don't ever recall in the last several years that this board has approved any type of gun
No,
or gear.
Yeah, I
up
thought it
there
was
at any of
always
the
archery.
places. It was always archery.
we'll tell you what, I'm gonna,
I'm out.
They may be up there with guns, but I don't think they're supposed to be.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion
Okay.
and I will make a motion to table this item to the next meeting.
Okay.
Rich will
Yeah,
second.
I withdraw my
Okay.
second.
Brian, we're gonna
That's
table. So those in favor of tabling, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That carries. Okay, consideration of fund balance policy. This was the policy that we sent to the Board of Finance for their review. And this is there's actually two items. The first one is the fund balance policy. They made no changes to it. They approved it as we submitted, so I'm gonna make a motion that we, what did they change? You know what I'm sorry, you're right, Marty. They didn't change the percentage. They stayed with 18%.
There was some cleanup of language too, Matt.
The what?
Yeah, they
I think
changed.
they cleaned up some of the language.
Okay, all right, my mistake, sorry. I was just thinking of the minimum balance, but. Anyway, did you guys have a chance to read this?
I'm saying that they have to have 18%.
Yeah. Right.
And Brad, that's based on the bond ratings recommendations to maintain AAA. They want to see an 18%.
Yeah, Barry Bernabe, who was our advisor on it, said we could go down to 15. The problem with 15 is the bond rating agencies when they look at your fund balance percentage, they add the TRB, even though we don't pay it, the state does, but they look at it with that. So that's why my advice wasn't to go to 15, but was to go to 18, and I'm comfortable at 18.
Okay. All right,
I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I would suggest that, and again, I guess it's up to the Board of Finance, there'd be language that it should be reviewed by the controller every year to make sure we don't need an adjustment.
oh, yeah,
Because, I mean, that really should be in there, because I remember we were talking about when I was on the board, it might go to 20%, and how our interest rates and what's going on affecting it. So, I mean, that would be my suggestion, to add language in there that the controller reviews it every year. Make sure that we're not, asleep at the wheel and blow our rating.
Yeah, so obviously I watch that every year, Brian, of what the fund balance is. We should have done this way earlier. We should have changed the fund balance a while ago, but
I agree. I'm just saying that, it actually protects the town by putting it in there, because you don't ever want, at this Board of Finance, but in the future, we're the authority and we don't need you reviewing it. If it's in there saying every year, the controller should recommend whether there needs to be an adjustment made to this. That's my only thing, is that I think that should be in there. Would make a lot of sense. Do you disagree, Marty?
No, I don't disagree. I just think there's, the big thing for me was the percentage.
Right.
And they really didn't change that. They were gonna change it, I think, weren't you, Brad?
yeah.
They-
Was there a discussion about changing it?
they were talking about going down to 15
Yeah.
from the recommendation, but they did go to 18.
Yeah, but there are some changes. There are
Yeah.
subtle changes, but they're here. Like for instance, it says that the original said the policy of replenishing deficiencies. It talked about, and if warranted, prepare and submit a plan for expenditure reductions and raising revenue to increase the fund. And the new one is the Board of Finance shall take the necessary actions, including expenditure reductions and or revenue increases to restore. So it goes from, we might need to do this to, we will do this.
Yeah.
And I also thought the other thing that I thought was a little bit different too, is they removed under circumstances in which the fund balance is to be utilized. They removed the section, I believe, that talked about purchase of capital assets.
Yes.
I mean, they have debt funds, transfer to capital non-reoccurring fund. I would assume that would be for capital assets.
Wait, am I reading? Because it says the purchase of capital assets.
When you read the original,
I have no idea.
what's the dates up the top?
July 12th. July 12th, it says circumstances in which a fund balance unassigned is to be utilized. It says purchase of capital. Number 3, purchase of capital assets.
You're right. I'm sorry, I was looking at something different.
So they do have that.
They do have that. You're right.
Is that the purchase of capital assets, is that something where money could be set aside each year for the large purchase? And I'll throw a fire truck at that, if they put, $50,000 a year in it, is that what that's saying?
No,
Would that
that's
be-
saying like we just did with the gun range, that we're gonna use the general fund to use 1.4 million to buy the fire range. What you're talking about is a sinking fund that the Board of Finance would look to start and fund each year, correct?
Right, yeah.
That would be more like a sinking fund. Yeah, I'll do what you guys want. I would just make the suggestion that we put in that the controller review it every year.
All right, I just crafted a sentence. Okay, so on the fund balance, if you have this, Brad.
Yep.
The page that says town of balance, fund balance policy, fund balance unassigned policy. The first section, purpose of the fund balance policy. There's 2 paragraphs. To the second paragraph, I want to add the following sentence, and I've written this down for Lisa. So at the end of that paragraph, I added, it shall be the responsibility of the comptroller to review this policy annually and make recommendations as needed to the boards of selectmen and finance. Okay,
And where is that? That's going in, I'm sorry, the
it's gonna go, and I'm gonna give this to you so you can,
second paragraph, last sentence.
yep, second paragraph, last sentence. Brad, do you have any issues with that?
No, not at all.
Okay,
I make a motion, we accept Matt's amended fund balance.
okay, so we have a motion for an amendment. I'll second that.
Yeah, for
Yep.
your amended. fund
Okay,
balance.
those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. So on the whole fund balance policy, I'll make a motion that we accept as amended.
Can I bring up the
Oh.
issue about that sinking fund again, as Brian mentioned? Is that something that we would consider using some of the section money for?
Oh, yeah, but we don't need
That's for the
to,
stabilization funds.
yeah,
That, okay, that's where, how,
I don't
Cate-
think you
in
can have
that
an
category.
actual sinking fund.
well,
You can have like a capital non-recurring, I
It's
don't
kind of
think-
like when they use the debt service to
Right.
pay down the bill rate. a
Right.
little bit.
yeah, that could, yeah, that's
Right.
separate from this policy. We can do that anytime. Okay,
And
so we
really,
have
by funding the capital non-recurring account, the Board of Selectmen could recommend to the Board of Finance putting aside part of the capital non-recurring at any time. I don't really love the idea of a completely separate account because then you tie your hands. with it.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of the capital non-recurring.
that doesn't need to be part of this particular fund balance
No.
policy, correct?
No.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye, that carries. All right, now this is, the next one is the tax stabilizer. This is actually going to be an ordinance, so if we accept this, then I'll have to add one item to the agenda to establish a date for a public hearing. But first,
I think it's already
It's
on,
on
it's
there.
on the agenda.
It's on there.
It's the next item.
oh, it's the next item, okay. Oh, there it is, all right. All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the tax stabilization fund proposed ordinance and move it to a public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Could you just clarify which one it is? Is it the one that the Board of Finance just approved?
yes. Ordinance establishing a tax stabilization fund.
So
So that's the one dated July 12th.
I don't have a date
Well, I
on
don't
it.
have.
Yeah, it's July 12th. They had some that says July 12th, and it's in the minutes of July 12th.
Okay,
So it's gonna say the motion to approve the tax stabilization ordinance approved by the Board of Finance?
yes,
Okay.
And when we put the date on it,
It was the 19th?
12th.
Oh,
it was, they approved it on the
today,
12th.
sorry, yeah.
Brad, can this fund grow? So they
Oh,
can
yeah.
do 500,000 year over year?
Yeah, So
And
the
they would
point of it would be to fund it in years that we can and only use it when we have to.
Like if
Yeah.
you needed like an emergency purchase? Like you're not
Not so
gonna
much
use it.
the tax stabilization, I don't view it as like for an emergency purchase. That's like a DNR account. This is, you have a really bad tax increase year for whatever reason, that you can balance some of that out with the tax stabilization. But a year that you're looking at like a point, like a low increase in the mill rate isn't necessarily the year you want to use it, because you don't want to use it every year. It's supposed to be to level out bad years.
You're gonna use it to buy the mill rate down. Is basically what it's there for.
When necessary, when there's a shock, yes.
Yeah.
Now, when you buy the mill rate down like that, what happens the following year?
You are creating a hole, so you'd have to have enough to do it to get past some bad years. If we didn't have like the debt service fund that we use this year to lower the debt service amount in the budget, our debt service would have been up $1 million. So that would have been a good time to use some of the tax stabilization to balance some of that out, because it was spiking for 2 years. So you could have taken that spike out so that the homeowner doesn't have that big increase. So that would be the best use of it. To
That's
kind
assuming you
of
don't take on more debt though.
correct. You know,
I mean, I understand the concept. I just get uncomfortable applying mill rates down because what it does to the future budget. You know,
Well-
I mean, I'd rather see it if you had this fund where if you have a major purchase that's driving stuff up, or capital items, you just use it to purchase the capital items that really aren't gonna affect next year's budget anyway, because they're on a separate line, correct, Brett?
correct.
That would be my only hope, was that we don't use it for like operating expenses and buying it down that way, because, you know, remember, we went to full day kindergarten, which was great.
Yeah.
But the year that the grant stopped, I mean, it was pretty serious. I mean, we were,
Yeah.
we were in the hole quite a bit.
It requires planning, and it requires limitations, very strict limitations. This is for something like, let's say one of your major taxpayers in town burns down. And now you've got $1 million hole in your revenue. And so there's gonna be a big shock, and you want to cushion that for, buffer it for a period of time. So it's sort of like exactly what we did with the debt service fund, as a cushion to ease us through. And so same thing. It works as a buffer when emergencies happen. And it's beneficial to have this as an ordinance because it does set limits. And it's actually, I took the language from this ordinance from another town that just moved up to a AAA rating because of their ordinance, because they put limitations on it. So I think this is a good thing to have on the books. It actually makes it less likely that anybody would do this, for any other reason.
Can I ask one question? Because I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I have this right. Brad, in subsection C, it says fund expenditures. At the very end, it says the maximum annual transfer shall be $500,000 in any one fiscal year. You're talking about total 500,000, or you're talking about total 500,000 for one department?
Total 500,000.
Okay, all right.
Okay, any other questions? Right, so we have a motion on the floor. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, so item number 11, or excuse me, 10, consideration of public hearing date. Let's see, Marty, what is the limitation on this? Is it 10 days?
Just double check here. You gotta have 10 days. You gotta publish the entire proposed ordinance 10 days in the legals before the public hearing.
All right. Oops. I'm going to make it, let's see. I'm going to make a motion that we establish the public hearing date of Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 at 7 p.m. in, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to make it 6:30 p.m. in meeting room A. Bethel Town Hall, Bethel Municipal Center. Your second?
Second.
Okay. That'll be half an hour before our regular board of selectmen meeting.
August 2nd, 6:30 p.m.
Yep, 6:30 PM. Okay, so any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, item number 11. Consideration of the request to add a school resource officer. I think we have in your packet.
I saw it.
Grant.
It's just a one piece of paper.
Yeah, and I don't think, because that came from Captain Burns, correct?
Yeah, and I saw on my phone.
Do you want me to run copies quick?
Do you have can you have a copy of it, Marty?
Right here.
Yeah,
Is your office, is Dion's office open?
my office is open, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, while Lisa does this.
It's like $86,000 versus 88.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Brad,
Yes,
did you well, Brad and Dr. Carver, and Jen, did you guys discuss a source of funding for the officer? Or were you were working on the bid waiver stuff today, right?
Right, we did not discuss at all the officer.
Okay. All right,
You want Paul to lock the front door?
what's that?
You want Paul to lock the front door? I don't have a key for that front door.
I've got the key for it.
Okay. So leave it open.
Yeah, she can leave it open.
Leave it open, Paula.
I'll lock it when we end the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
So the request here from the police department is to add an additional SRO. And you have a very brief cost analysis. And I believe the request is to add this SRO for the remainder of this fiscal year at a cost of approximately $75,000 to be taken from ARPA funds. Now, that would create a hole that would have to be built into the system, into the budget next year. But
I make a motion that we add a school resource officer, $75,000 come to ARPA funds.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Talk about it last week.
Yep, okay. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries.
I'm sorry, and that's from ARPA funds.
Yes.
Okay.
Funds to be taken from the American Rescue Plan Act.
I know we voted on it already, but the 75,000, was that for the full-time officer or the part-time?
No, that's for the full-time, that's a
Okay.
comparison.
It's for
So,
the
Yeah, all right, well, I just want to make sure that it was for the full-time.
Yep.
officer.
And you read, did you second, Rich? Or did you?
Yes.
Rich,
I second it.
I'm sorry.
Brian made.
okay, so item number 12, consideration of request from the Board of Education for bid waivers for implementation of security grants. We have a memo from Board of Ed. Dr. Carver, do you want to explain?
Sure, so I'm gonna, I think it's probably better just to start with the big picture. When we were at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, I think it was last month, we were reviewing overall school security. We mentioned that we had a security assessment that was done in 2019, which equalized all the security features that were added into Johnson and Rockwell to all the 3 remaining schools. And at the time, we had submitted a capital project. Brad actually did a beautiful job in a 1-page summary. Do you all have that? Yes, no?
I did leave it on the table for everybody.
Okay, so the 1-page summary, thank you, Brad.
Oh,
The 1-page
it's
summary.
this one, it's this page?
Yes,
Yes, we got that.
yes.
Yes.
I just want to start there because I think it's a good place to start. When we had that initial assessment, we had put in for a capital project as part of the budget process to equalize all the security features in all the schools. And at the time, we were estimating based on the analysis that it would be about $695,000 to make all the shifts and changes. As you know, because there was a lot going on that year, we weren't able to pass the project specifically. I believe that was the year that we got short funded ECS, if I remember correctly, Brad. But we also know that at the same time we applied for 2 separate security grants, which really made a lot of progress towards meeting the initial capital project of $695,000. So Brad provided an analysis of how much the grant was paying for Bethel. Bethel Middle School was the main recipient of the combination of the grants. And then we also received some additional funds for Bethel High School that were pleasantly unexpected, which kind of links to the actual request for a bid waiver. But we were asked at the last meeting what features are going to remain that didn't get funded through the grants, and to come back to the Board of Selectmen and present those in terms of needs. So if you look at the total cost of the project, based on the second memo that we gave you, and I actually think it's more important to talk about that first and then talk about the bid waivers, because part of the bid waivers relate to to some of the items in the second memo. So we did provide an overview to the Board of Selectmen of those items that aren't or were not included in the security grant. The total based on, and we provided some detail. If you want to talk in great detail about them, I recommend that we go into executive session, but we tried to provide some detail about what those items are. And Jen was able to actually get vendors out to actually provide quotes. So we had some accurate numbers because it had been a long time since the 2019 estimates that we had initially provided. In some cases, we were able to get actual quotes. In other cases, we were able to get budgetary estimates. The total amount for all of those little individual pieces that we're estimating that weren't funded through the grant was $242,773. The bid waiver specification, I can let Jen talk a little bit about, or do you want me to stop and ask questions about that first part?
Yeah, let's do the bid waiver part 2.
Okay.
Can you give me that number again? What was the?
The total, it's at the top of Brad's memo and it's on my memo. It's $242,773. And we provided details to you about exactly what that covers that wasn't funded through the grants.
Yeah. Okay, so the bid waiver is for Omnidata, is that?
Well, so there's 2 pieces to this. The first
Okay.
piece, Omnidata, is for what's covered in the grant. Omnidata is, Jen, do you want to explain that piece?
We previously used Omnidata for the renovations at Rockwell and Johnson, and they're doing the security cameras and the infrastructure needed to upgrade our security cameras. So we had a really good experience with them in the work they've already done for us, and they know our systems very well. They did win a bid to do the previous work. So we're very comfortable with them, and we were hoping you could approve a waiver in that case.
And I believe that they also are on a consortium list, correct?
I have to mention that, correct, yes. Yes, they do
That's a
buy
very-
through a consortium, yes. Sorry.
And so the pricing is based on the consortium pricing.
Okay,
The second piece is ECS. And if we are able to go forward, and we realize it may have to go to the Board of Finance, but if we are able to go forward, then that would provide a bid waiver for ECS, which Jen's right, did provide all of the infrastructure for school security. I wasn't always happy with ECS in the projects. There were different arms of the organization, but I was very happy with the work that was done with security. And because they have such knowledge of the infrastructures of our school, the software programs that all of these programs sit on, it would help make a seamless transition. And quite frankly, they're one of the only companies in the state of Connecticut that in the region that does this type of work.
So what's the total amount you're looking for, capital non-reoccurring, $242,773?
Yes, that would allow the schools to finish all the security projects that we had originally intended as part of that capital project. Correct, Brian?
But the total project cost is $681,000.
So what we've spent, what we've received from the grants, what we're going to be using from our 1% account. Because remember, the grant was 50 cents on a dollar.
I get it.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, does this have to go to a town meeting? Because it's over 500,000.
no, well, I don't know. I don't think so because a piece of it is from the grant.
no, well, no, because it's from capital non-recurring, so that's already part of the town
Okay.
budget. So it wouldn't have to go to a special town meeting. No.
And why would you want to use capital non-recurring over the ARPA funds for this? I'm just curious.
Well, that's, we can talk about that.
I just think, capital non-recurring, when we have it there, like we just bought a Hearst tool and these things come up, The ARPA funds aren't going to be there forever, right?
Yeah. Well, there's still quite a few things pending on that. I mean, it's not that much, but we still have to deal with the HVAC and some other stuff.
Fine. You guys want, I'm just curious,
I mean, yeah, we have quite a bit. Brad, we anticipated doing this out of CNR, right?
Well, it's been on the capital plan since 2021. So I think that's why we put it as a CNR request, is because it's been a longstanding capital item.
Okay. Well, let's do this in two motions. First, I'm going to make a motion that we approve bid waivers for Omnidata LLC and Environmental Systems Corporation, that it is in the public economy to accept their pricing consistent with the infrastructure that is already in place, and that Omnidata is part of the state consortium, and that's a state bid price.
I don't have anything in front of me, so I'm kind of just following along. I don't have the handouts and stuff. So it's a motion to approve bid waivers for Omnidata LLC, you said?
Yes, and environmental, was it environmental, there we go,
Systems.
Environmental Systems Corporation. Circle it so I can get at it.
ESC.
All right. And I think, and Marty made a point too, that some of these bid waivers are actually Board of Education jurisdiction, but it doesn't hurt for us to approve it as well.
Well, if the monies are coming from something other than the Board of Education, then yes, you, the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, all right.
And Matt, do you have this memo? See who it's from. I think this was from Jen.
Yes.
Board of Selectmen, July 15, 2022, because she lays out some things why the bid waiver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can get a copy of all that, right? So what's the purpose of this motion to approve bid waivers for Omnidata LLC Environmental System Corp. To finish?
Yeah, it's all right
Okay.
here.
I'm sorry, I
No,
just
that's
don't
okay.
feel like. I'm-
Lisa, it's to complete the security projects.
Yeah, to
Please,
complete the
okay,
security
thank you.
project.
You got the
Okay,
dollar
yep.
amount? You have the dollar. amount.
242,773.
No, 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 no,
We're not
No,
there
no,
yet.
this is, we're just
We're just doing
approving the bid
bid
waivers.
Okay.
The second motion will be for the funding.
Okay, so
Right.
this is a bit to complete the
I
security
seconded his motion.
projects.
you did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, no, that's
That's all right.
you're good. Okay, any other questions on that motion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It carries. Okay, the final item is consideration of items requested not covered by the security grant. Now, we listed this as executive session anticipated in case you have detailed questions about security. If you don't have detailed questions, because we have talked about it,
I think we covered it.
we
last
can
year.
make a motion to cover the amount.
Matt, can I, before you go on to that?
Yeah.
I asked the question, I didn't ask this board the question. But one thing that came to mind here is, where are the monies coming again for the matches for the grants?
Well,
From the-
we had, what Brian and I were just talking about that. I had anticipated it would come from capital non-recurring.
And 1%.
Well, yeah, so to be clear, Marty, for the grant specifically, the balance of that amount that Brad put on the top of the memo is coming from our unexpended funds account, the 1% account. So the request tonight, which is separate, is for finishing the projects is the 242,773.
Yeah. If you, on this page, if you look at the very top box, it says
you look
grant
at-
amount, BOE 1% account, and CNR request for total project.
But the parts of the project the majority of the projects being done through the grant
Right.
in the unexpended funds account.
So it's not, there's no monies in excess of $50,000 that are coming from any source that hasn't been approved already.
Correct. I mean, the board, the selectmen just approved the only bid waivers that we would have needed.
Yeah, the only reason why I was bringing up, I didn't realize you had that much in the 1% account, because I thought what would happen is, because the grant, we had to contribute more than $50,000, we'd have to go to a town meeting. But if it's already coming out of the 1%, if the vast majority is coming out of the 1%, then we don't
It
have to.
is. Right, it is.
All right.
All right, so this, we had planned this out of CNR, but Rich, do you have any comment on Brian's?
Well, it's fully stated there, you know, you figure just come out of non-recurring, and it goes back to last year,
Yeah.
21. Because I think we're going to have to use the other ARPA funds for the air conditioning and
Right.
HVAC system. So,
Right, okay.
I mean,
All right, then I'll make a motion that we grant the request from, to be taken from capital non-recurring in the amount of $242,773 to complete the school security project.
second.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It carries.
Matt, just as a matter of process, does it then go to the Board of Finance?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
All right.
If we took it from the other account, we wouldn't have.
Right.
Yeah, see, I'm not even sure that we can use ARPA that way because it's mingled in with the other stuff. I mean, there's some complicated rules about that. So, yeah, this will go to Board of Finance at their next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Sorry for the late
Appreciate
night.
it. No, you actually went pretty quick.
So I entertain a motion to adjourn, finally.
Second.
From Brian, second by Rich, those in favor? Aye, it carries. Thank you, everyone.
I may pick your brain tomorrow.
Okay. Here, you know what, Lisa, let me give you this whole packet. It's not in order, but you can take the whole thing. Thanks, Brian.